All right, so we're camping at the trailhead of Archer's Fork. You can see behind me the trailhead for Archer's Fork, and the trail goes straight out into the woods, about a 14-mile loop. And the reason we did that is because the Forest Service maps and literature all said that you can camp at the trailheads. Okay, well, when it's 8 o'clock at night, pitch black outside, and you need a place to camp, this made the most sense. Now, let me show you. We are right across the street, right there, all set up. So the trails down here all have their own trail signs, and you can take a look at, the map, and it says you are here. And also notice some bullet holes, which every sign that I've seen along these trails is covered in bullet holes. Interesting. But nonetheless, you got trail maps, and you got a guy that lost his walking stick and would like to have it returned. So if I find it, we'll give that back. All right, so here's the campsite, and you can see right in front of the truck is a gate, and that gate probably goes back to somebody's camp or something. I looked at the foliage on the ground in front of me and found that it hadn't been driven on in quite some time. There's a lot of stuff sticking up. The road's not really packed down, so thought it was safe to camp there. I'm going to move the truck here when I start my hike because I don't want to block somebody in. But I want to show you this. So this road, to the left is the sign I just showed you. To the right is a road. And I thought maybe this is dispersed camping. Well, this road gets pretty nasty. And let me just show you this. I thought for sure I was stuck at like 8:30, 9 o'clock last night. And you can see I had a little bit of fun getting out. Now the rule is, when in doubt, throttle out. And that's exactly what I did. So we managed to get out, and I think we got lucky, because if I walk down there and show you that road, it's pretty nasty. Don't go down it. Now, I've shown you all the things I wanted you to see. What I didn't show you is reality, because reality is this is a freaky campsite. I don't know that anybody else would camp here because of this. That's right. We are camping right outside a graveyard. Not a lot of options last night. This is where we ended up. Quiet night except for the wind, and I can't say I got much sleep because that wind was coming through here like a train. I mean, it was pretty bad. So that's where we're at. We're going to make the most of it because, like I said, we're living in today. See what we can get accomplished. All right, so I'm on 260 North, and I just passed something that I've got to show you. You got to check this out. I'm going back to get a picture of it, and it blew my mind. All right, we are in the little town of Ludlow, and I'm talking little town. And I drove by this, and I swore that it was like a Dairy Queen or something. But check this out. You are looking at the Ludlow Town Hall. Hate to see the jail and the courthouse. All right, so just off of 26, we're just coming down 26 North, and you can see behind me the sign for the Nolton Covered Bridge. And we're gonna just head up here and check it out. It's a pretty neat little place. You can camp there if you'd like. I believe it's closed as well. We're gonna check it out here in a second. So, all right, so this is the Nolton Covered Bridge. It's no longer in operation. It's just kind of an historic site at this point. And I believe you can camp in here. I think they're set up for camping. I'm not sure what the big concrete pad here is for. Looks like I got some spots up there at the end, a little playground. And I'm not sure what the building is across the street. People may actually live there. Let's just run up here and we'll take a look at the bridge itself. I brought my son here when he was really little, and we did some swimming down here in the creek and messing around, camped up at Ring Mill. So here's the Nolton Covered Bridge. Looks like their sign's pretty well faded. And what's kind of cool is there's covered bridges all over Ohio, and basically you can tour all over the place and check out these old bridges. In fact, if you go up north, up toward Lake Erie, little town Geneva on the Lake, That whole area is just filled with these old covered bridges that you can go through. Some are still operational, you can drive through them. Others you can just go visit. And I believe it's in October maybe that they do a covered bridge tour, which is pretty cool. But nonetheless, this is Nolton Covered Bridge. Not a lot to see. Can't drive through it anymore, but construction is still, it still kind of blows the mind how they built these things. If you look at the arch support here that runs the kind of the middle length of the span, that is most of the strength of this bridge. And you wouldn't believe that that design creates that much strength, but it really does. It's just amazing that most of the other structures are just for roof support and main beam, while that massive arch actually carries 99% of the load. And obviously 99% may be a little bit more than is true, but nonetheless. All right, I need to point out one more thing about this bridge, just because I'm one of those nerds that like to set things apart, see how they work. So I mentioned that the arch is actually carrying all the load. Now, if you look right there in the middle, you can see the arch, and look where it ends. It lands on that pylon and that pylon. So all of the weight of that bridge is right there on those two pylons. And these last sections, like the one behind me, is just kind of carrying the rest of that load across on a regular beam. But that just goes to prove that most of that load is right there where that arch hits. Just kind of cool. Kind of one of those engineering feats that most of us would never think about, but they knew how to do it back in the day. And also, look at the size of these sandstones. I mean, that in itself is a work of art. And now that I'm down here, yeah, this looks like a creek that I want to kayak. I can definitely see me putting in back here at the boat launch, and I'm going to have to find out where it comes out and make sure there's not too many portages. Hate carrying my boat. All right, so I'm down at the lower end of that parking lot, and there's a sign here that says this is a boat and canoe loading and unloading area, and no camping beyond here. So it looks like all of this up through here is camping. I don't see any fire rings or any place to build a fire, so fires are probably not permitted, I'm assuming. Looks like we've got a little launch ramp down here. Just gonna take a look. This ground is really soft. Got some gravel up top here, but other than that, the ground is soft as heck. And it would appear the only kind of boat you're gonna launch here is a canoe or possibly a kayak. So just know that you can. And this looks like a pretty cool little creek to kayak. May have to keep that in mind for the future. All right, we're leaving Nolton Covered Bridge, and we are going to get back on 26 North, and we're going to come to a little town called Cline, C-L-I-N-E, and it's only another couple miles up the road. And that's where we can turn off to the right, and we can go up what's called Jericho Low Gap Road. And about 2.5 miles up that road, we're going to come to Ring Mill, which is a place I've camped many times, and it's a place I wanted to camp last night. Ended up hitting a roadblock, literally. The gate was down and they're not letting people back in there, which was totally a bummer because there's really no reason to have that place closed. And I'll show you what it looks like. We'll do a walkthrough on it. You may want to camp down here. It's just kind of a cool little spot, secluded, not completely private. I mean, there's some houses up in that area, but still for $10 a night camping, you could pull an RV in, no problem. Obviously no hookups, but I'll show you here in a second. All right, coming up with a sign to Ring Mill, and you can see right here, Jericho Low Gap Road. Now this is a gravel trail, gravel road. There is one spot up here by the barn where you cross a little creek, and if you have a massive camper, you may have trouble getting across this way, but Jericho Low Gap Road goes on across, and I think it meets up with, man, don't quote me on this, I think it's 800, State Route 800. And if you come in from 800, you don't have to cross this little section here. So it's actually, we'll just go out that way. How's that? And we'll see what it looks like. So This is some of the road what it looks like. When I get up to the spot where we cross by the barn, I'll show you what it looks like, just so you know whether you can or can't come this way if you're bringing an RV. I'm driving obviously a 4-wheel drive and not gonna have any trouble at all. All right, so we're coming up on that bad section here that I was just talking about, and you can see right here by the barn. It's nothing major. I've gone through it in a minivan before, not a big deal, but just make sure that you're aware if you're coming off of 26, you're gonna cross this little section. I don't think you'll have any trouble, but nonetheless, I want to point that out. And then the rest of the road just stays like this. All right, so we're a couple miles up of Jericho Low Gap Road. You can see there's a sign for Ring Mill. We've got a nice big bridge to cross here. We're going to cross here on the right. And let's just check it out. So this is Ring Mill Campground, and like I said, I stopped here last night, and the whole plan was to come back in here and camp, and I ran into this, which is quite a bummer. Now, we've got some hiking trails, and one of the things I want to get done this weekend is do some hiking, because we got a trip planned down to Shenandoah Mountains of Virginia next month, and I don't know how my ankles are going to do. Now, if you look right up here, you can just see the sign. That is one of the, I believe it's called the North Country Trail. It's just another trail that links up to all these trails around here. And it's a pretty cool little trail. We've hiked up it a couple times. It's been pretty overgrown, but it's cool to come down here and camp and then hike that trail. Now you can see here, this is a typical campsite. It's got a nice picnic bench. You got a fire ring. You've got a coal grill. You know, you got another campsite here. Now the ones that we like are the ones directly in front of us. There's some sites down here on the end. Got a little pavilion over here on the left. Now this is I believe this is the old Ring Mill, and I'll get a picture of the sign here. So if you're a history buff, you want to know about the area. Most of these campsites are built on historical locations, and I think Mr. Ring lived in this address, and don't quote me because I got a sign right here to tell me. Yeah, Miller by trade. Walter Ring and his wife Margaret bought this land, log house, blah, 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 lots of words. And yeah, but that's it. I'm going to walk down to my favorite campsites here. I'll show you. All right, so this site does have latrine style toilets. Now, they're nothing to write home about. Probably something that most people's wives wouldn't use, but they are what they are. Also, all of these areas have pretty well laid out maps of the area, you know, what's going on, kind of the rules. Now, it's you can see here at the bottom, $10 camping fee now, and you get a senior discount for $5, and you deposit your fee here. Trash there. Now, if it's all self-service, why is there a gate? Why is it closed? And that's what makes me mad, because we have camped down here in a foot of snow. We've camped down here middle of summer. Now these here, this is by far my favorite campsite, and it's labeled as campsite 1. You get a nice lantern pole there, you can hang your lantern on. You've got a nice fire pit there in the back. You can pull in, if you want to back in a camper, you can. Very nice. Now campsite 2, this may actually be my favorite. You know, but it's a toss-up. Actually, I think I like 2 better. Maybe I'm lying to you. You know, you can back in here. Once your cars are there, you're secluded from everything. But you can also see, right across the creek, there's a couple houses. Generally, no one's going to bother you down here. It's just a nice, laid-back area. And I think we've only been back here with other people once or twice. Generally, people don't know about this campsite. So if you're looking for just a nice getaway for the weekend, come down and hang out, or maybe you got a big family group you want to come down here, man, if you can rent, well, we got 5 campsites here, 4 campsites, $10 a piece, $40, you get the whole area to yourself. You get a pavilion. What else could you ask for? To me, that sounds like a good time. And I may have to actually do that. Might have to try to see if I can book it, or I don't know if it's first come, first serve, but I'll definitely check the website and find out. But it's worth checking out. Just come on down, check it out. All right, so right here we have the North Country Trail, and this is the trail that is just beyond Ring Mill. So if I turn this way, you can see I'm parked down there, and the entrance to the entrance right there, the sign's right there. But actual trailhead is maybe, I don't know, 100 yards down that road, not very far. Worth the hike. You know, if you're down here doing some camping at Ring Mill, take a hike. It'll do you well. All right, so as you're coming off of Lower Jericho Road, it comes onto a really nice paved highway called Greenbrier Road, and this connects on out with some of the major highways out here. Just a nice little drive. The road's a little bit narrow. If you are driving a vehicle that doesn't have a lot of ground clearance or is not four-wheel drive, I would recommend coming in from Greenbrier Road to Jericho Low Gap Road to get down to Ring Mill. It just makes a lot more sense. You're gonna have a lot better time. That creek crossing, I've been across it when it's been pretty nasty as far as it gets rutted out. I think they fill it back in from time to time, but nonetheless, it's not worth the effort, especially if you're driving a Honda Civic or something that has no ground clearance. No sense ripping off your muffler just to get over there when you can come in from the opposite side. So there you have it, Greenbrier Road. All right, coming off of 26. You see the sign here for Lamping Homestead. That's where we're headed. It's Route 537. So if I continue going straight, I come out the lower end of Lower Jericho Road. That's where I first turned up. So what I did is I did a big loop. I took Greenbrier Road all the way back out to 26, turned left, and now I came down to the bottom of the hill, turning on to 537, and then I think it's about 6 miles out here is Lamping Homestead. So it makes one big loop. You can see all this stuff in one day, which makes it really convenient. And I'll film when I get closer to Lamping Homestead, because I missed the turnoff last night. There's no sign at the end of the road, which makes absolutely no sense, especially for a state forest, but it is what it is. But actually federal forest. It's a federal campsite, federal campground, but nonetheless, I'll show you where it's at. All right, so we're coming down the hill here. It's a big sweeping turn, and it's only about 2 miles out. I was wrong, we're not that far out. But when we get down around this turn, there's a road right there to the left. No sign, no nothing. It is Township Road 307, Clear Fork. And just straight down this road, and you're gonna see, once you get down in here, there are a couple signs for Lamping Homestead. And I'll get up here, I'll show you what the campground looks like. Let's take a look. All right, Lamping Homestead. And just like last night, a closed gate, which doesn't make sense. If you're gonna make a campground self-service and you pay a fee at a box, why close it? I mean, sure, there's some things you may need to do upkeep wise, but right now it's making no money, which is interesting. So this is Lamping Homestead. It's pretty much primitive camping only. My thoughts for last night was just to come up here and camp in the parking lot. Just set up rooftop tent, check it out, spend the night. Made sense. Now, obviously closed, and obviously this is the main campground. We'll take a walk over, check it out. Again, latrine, toilets, all that good stuff. Let's just take a walk here. Now there's a trail, Lamping Homestead Trail, that kind of loops the whole area, and I thought about maybe doing that trail. I didn't check to see if it was open yet. I'm assuming it's not open, but I'm also finding that a lot of the trails are closed to mountain bikes and horses this time of year, but foot traffic is welcome. So maybe that's one of the trails that's open. Now, if I recall, I see a picnic table over here. I see a trail sign there. A dry hydrant. Okay. Interesting. Now, if you check this out, if I were tent camping, how cool would this be? Come out here, set up next to this pond. I saw fishing regulations, but I didn't really pay much attention to them. I see fire rings over here. Now, this would be a really cool campsite for tent camping. And even hammock camping. You can see the trees are close enough together that you could hammock camp here. Nice fire rings. Yeah, this would be worth it. This would definitely be worth coming and checking out. And I'm going to put this on my list for the year. Never actually camped here because it was tent camping. And normally when we come down here, it's a dead of winter and we're not really set up to do a lot of tent camping. I'd rather have a camper or something like that. But yeah, I could see bringing kayak down or a canoe. I could see doing some fishing. Yeah, this is back on my list. And you can see got some blazes on the trees here for the trails. Just we'll walk out here a little ways and see. Now, the thing I really like about these campsites is this post. It's just a simple pole to hang your lantern on, but it's so handy when you want to use it. And just a nice site. And it looks like most of them have it. Nice fire rings, picnic tables, lantern post. I think this is just part of the trail here. Yeah, I'd say there's no more camping out here. It's trail, which wouldn't mind doing a trail today. Problem is, this weather's so unpredictable right now, and I really didn't bring the proper clothing. You know, I'm unprepared to get too far away from a vehicle, and I'm by myself, so I guess I should try to be responsible. But at any rate, let me give the overview here. This is Lamping Homestead. It's the perfect spot for tent camping. It's not far from the parking lot, so if you had a hiker's backpack, man, hike in here, set up camp, and you've got some awesome trails to hike. I don't know what's on them, haven't been on them, so I can't really tell you, but hey, check it out. All right, so it took the 12-mile drive from Lamping Homestead into Woodsfield to pick up some propane for my gas grill. And now we turned down to 78 and we're going to go check out Piatt Park. Piatt Park's probably not something that's on your radar because it's not a major state park or something like that, but it has the neatest little gorge and waterfalls and caves, and it kind of reminds me like a mini Hocking Hills with Old Man's Cave and all of those other features that they have there. Now, it looks like we're just going down a country road, and basically we are. We're driving past somebody's house, obviously. So when we get up here, it's not going to look like much, but when you get down into the actual gorge, it gets really cool. It gets really, really cool. And I'll try to get some footage. I want to hike down into it. I know there's some steps and stuff like that. It's been a while since I've been here, but it's going to be just a neat trip down into the gorge. So, all right, so we got some big changes at Piatt Park. So it never used to be like this. Of course, it's been a few years since I've been out here, but now they have added a campground, complete with shower houses, bathrooms, some pretty cool little sites. I mean, this is neat. Now it's $25 a night. I just paid for my site because I wanted a place to camp that wasn't next to the graveyard. You know what I mean? But I tell you what, I took the one down here on the end, and it could be a pro or a con because it's right at the beginning of the nature trail. And the nature trail goes down to the cliffs, and it's probably going to see a lot of foot traffic, but this time of year, I seriously doubt it. So this is me right here. You can see someone going down the trail right there. I'm just going to back in here, get set up, and there will be a fire tonight. And I'm excited. All right, we're at Piatt Park, all set up. Got the camper behind me. Camper, kind of makeshift camper. Tent's all set up. Got some wood for fire that I gathered from someone who abandoned their firewood here, which is interesting. And the temperature has dropped. It is getting colder, so I'm gonna get a hike in, and I'm gonna get some dinner started after that. So the trail itself is pretty flat, not a lot of hills. I'm breathing hard because I'm old and fat, but that's the only difference. But if you brought kids here, easy to traverse. I've actually got a cable, you can see it here on my side, kind of keeping you away from the edge of the wall. I did take some video of the wall, I'll show it here in the video. There's plenty of benches and places to sit, take a rest. It's well manicured. You won't have any trouble coming down here at all. Oh wow, that's pretty. This is the view from the top, and we're just gonna head down in. So let me show you the stairs here. Here they are, going up the rock, and directly in front of me, and then down the gorge. Quite a few steps, but they're in good shape, and they're not that difficult. So a massive piece of ice just fell off that shelf. It was loud as heck, made me jump, and I wish I had the camera on. I was just getting ready to turn it on. I missed it. Just missed it. Bummer. So we're pretty much down in the bottom. Got a couple steps left here. See, they got a picnic table down here. That is cool. And this is great because they actually took the time to build steps down here to where the average person can walk all the way down. You know, prior to this, can you imagine coming down that hill? I cannot. Looks like I've got more steps over here to check out the waterfalls. We're gonna walk over and look at this picnic table first. All right, you guys are gonna see this. You ready? There it is. Welcome to Piatt Park. I don't know if the camera's gonna catch it or not, but it's starting to snow. Nothing major, just some flurries. Just kind of a cool view. All right, we're down the bottom of Piatt Park. You can see the last waterfall I was at up above there, and the bottom one's here. I'll tell you what, it's starting to snow pretty good. I think it's about time to get out of this gorge. So it's been another fantastic trip. Got a good warm fire going here. It is about, I don't know, upper 20s. I think the last I saw on the truck, probably 28, 29 right now. It's snowing off and on. We still have a very strong wind coming from my back, which is actually fueling this fire pretty well. But tell you what, we're here at Piatt Park. There's only one other couple camping over there with their kids. Really quiet, and man, what a great trip this has been. Thanks for coming along on the journey. Make sure you subscribe, comment below. If you've ever been here, let me know, because this is a really cool spot to kind of check out. I'm curious what other people think. I did find an alternate trail to go down to the main trail. The West Fork Trail is actually what's going to take you around. The East Fork Trail was closed. And behind me, where I first went down, when it was really steep, there's no sense going that way. It's closed down that way. But back over here behind the pavilion, best way to get down to the waterfalls. And thanks for tuning in.